What is going on? What is going on, guys? It is Adam, aka Marf, and this is Marfoogle News. Today, we have a packed show, and it is a call-in show today. So stick around. We'll be right back right after this. Nothing in this show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect my opinion, Dex's opinion, or anyone else who works with the show. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals. The internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. If you have not already, it helps us out if you end up going through any of our affiliates, and it helps you out if you end up protecting yourself against cybercrime. NordVPN is one of the best and one of the easiest to use. If you do not have a virtual private network, it protects your IP address, which is your online identity, which actually connects to your real address and everything else. It also connects to you. If you know anything about how they are data logging and basically getting your profiles down, you can prevent that by having a VPN. Nord is, again, one of the easiest. Download it. It's like an on switch and off switch. All you have to do. Go to marfooglenews.com/VPN. Not only will you get a giant discount on this, but you will also be helping us. I appreciate your support, and I appreciate everyone that goes through any of our affiliates. Can't say thank you enough. All right, what is going on, guys? It is Adam, aka Marf, and this is Marfoogle News. If you've never been here before, this is a live show, and we're going to be talking about a ton of subjects. So remember, if you haven't been over to our website, there is a full bibliography of every single article, tweet, video, picture, document that we are going to show you here today. It is very easily organized. Of course, just look for today's thumbnail, Destroyed, Georgia Guidestones Gone. Once you click on that, you will find an entire bibliography of every source we have used today. Now, when you hit the very bottom, you'll see a yellow bar. That is the overflow. That is the stuff that is could not be fit into the show, that is too hot for TV. Make sure to go check that out. All videos, tweets, and pictures that we didn't fit into the show will be down there. Or if a caller has content, right below that, there will also be caller info. If a YouTuber calls in, or if somebody calls in with a sighting and submits it to marfooglenews.com/playmyvideo, it will be there. So remember that. Let's bring in my co-internet brother, Dex James. What is going on, and how are you doing?
Well, hello, Adam, and hello, Foogle fam. I am doing just fine.
So we have a lot to cover and a ton of stuff regarding Georgia. Obviously, there was a big event. Georgia Guidestones were taken down. We'll cover that here in just a moment. But first, shark capital of the world in a popular American vacation spot after 3 brutal attacks in 1 year. Now, I want to remind you, if you live in one of these states, or if any of these articles reaches out to you, make sure to call us at 2244-00-MARF. Again, that is 2244-00-MARF, and that number will also be down below, scrolling on that black bar. By the way, thank you, everybody that just popped in. It looks like a bunch of people just subscribed. Thank you, Mary Letcomin and Lloyd Graham. I appreciate you guys, and make sure to welcome new people as you see them. Old school Foogle fam, thank you for being here, and thank you for sticking with us. So as far as the shark capital of the world in a popular American spot, it says the shark capital of the world is at a popular U.S. beach spot that has already been hit by 3 brutal attacks this year. New Smyrna Beach, Florida, took the title after a string of terrifying encounters with the dangerous predators in recent years. It says in the most recent attack, a 28-year-old surfer was bitten just before noon on Sunday. The man fell off of his surfboard and was bitten on his left foot. Volusia County Beach Safety Ocean Research Captain Alex Miller told The Sun that the surfer had only minor injuries. So we covered before that essentially sharks are moving inland. We have talked about the weird fact that a lot of these animals are actually moving closer to the beach. They are looking for food. Again, there's a lot of different things going on with the ocean, whether it be man-made or a cycle or whatever it may be. Something is definitely changing. A lot of folks think it is the shifts of our magnetic poles that are actually drawing these magnetic navigating creatures near the beach. They are losing a lot of their navigation skills, and that's what marine biologists are saying about as far as different kinds of sharks, such as the hammerhead, that they are all off. It's like their compass, their internal compass is off. Now, as far as we covered a spot that in several places, including Florida, the sharks are coming closer to the beach than ever before. There's a bunch of different reasons that people have given, from that they're running out of their particular regional food source, or it's overfishing, or it's pollution, or it's the pole shift, whatever it may be. Something is definitely changing, and over the last 4 years, I have covered this, and it's gone up every single year. As far as the data shows, that shark bites and shark attacks have gone up. So it's kind of odd. What do you guys think about it? Have you had a close encounter with the shark? Let us know at 224400-MARF. That's again 2244-006273. And then we have Sioux Falls sky turns green amid severe weather. See the strange phenomena in photos. Now, this was pretty trippy. It says that the sky around Sioux Falls before the severe weather was green and not a green light. The green, that's the color of the sky before aliens arrive in the Jerry Bruckheimer movie, or before the Wicked Witch of the West threatens Dorothy and her little dog too. Weather watchers around Sioux Falls took to Twitter to share photos of the creepy and ominous sky, while we took to the internet to try to find out what the green sky means. It's said that green skies often come with severe weather. However, that does not mean it's a tornado specifically, as there isn't a direct correlation between the two, according to AccuWeather. Now, Dex, it doesn't look like we've
put
loaded.
it in screener.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So we're going to go over to these tweets that that show this weather, and you'll see exactly what we're talking about. And some of you may have seen this. I know that a lot of people talked about. I want to say it was Thailand, or there was one place, maybe it was the Philippines, that had the craziest sky, and they explained it away, basically saying that it was right before a hurricane or right before some sort of storm, and it was like a crazy pink and gray and green and blue sky. It was just a trip. So we have seen some pretty biblical things here a couple years in a row now. So let's see here. In fact, there was a YouTuber family that got it on video and ended up going viral last year. So let's show you what the heck we're talking about. So check this out. This is a trip. By the way, thank you, Darren, for popping in and subscribing. Hummingbird, welcome. I was going to say, it really is green. It's like they're not joking. So let's see here. Look at this. Okay, that looks, I would think, personally, what would you think if you saw this coming? I would think that somebody just dropped a corrosive boom boom on the city or something, or that there was some sort of gas and that zombies were about to be crawling over the buildings like in World War Z. This is a trip. Why has this not been a bigger thing before? They always explain away phenomena or things like this, and it's always like, oh, this always happens before a storm, or it's a natural phenomena. But I guess with how many cameras and how many people are paying attention and videotaping, why doesn't this happen, I guess, more often? I don't think I've seen this in the last 40 years, but maybe I'm wrong. I know I've seen the crazy red sky and the pink sky, and I've seen smoke damage, but this is nuts. Dex.
Yeah, and check the second image I put in there too. It's just as good.
Okay, let me pop that over.
If not better.
Yeah, check this out. Yeah, this is the Michael one. Okay, so check this out. This is just a trip and a half. What a flippin' crazy scene. Now, I want to remind people, if you have a video or if you have pictures of this, make sure to send it to marfooglenews.com/playmyvideo. Look at this. Okay, that doesn't seem natural, and my personal opinion is a lot of the things that they end up, they explain away with the natural phenomenon. I guess if it is natural, right? What a crazy planet we live on. What a crazy world and reality we live in. And by the way, was this yesterday? This was yesterday, wasn't it? This was on the 5th. This is the same day that they sparked up the CERN. Just saying. Not saying they're related. This is just completely nuts. Yeah, this was on the 5th, yesterday. And I believe that's when they sparked up that CERN. But it was just because the weather, it always turns the sky Kermit green right, before a storm. Anywho. And then we have Great Salt Lake is in trouble as level falls to lowest record for the second year in a row. So we're going to see a lot more of this, and I bet you by next year we're going to see a whole lot more of this. And what I mean by this is lakes disappearing and water drying up, and different lakes either being drained or evaporating, or again being empty. This is something that many people have predicted, especially in this niche. And people I watched before I ever did YouTube. In fact, it's kind of a trip. If you guys find some of the videos from 12, 13 years ago of these YouTubers saying they had insider knowledge about drought in the future, they talked about these things. I watched crazy videos with these. One of them was like this total person that people thought was wacky, but a lot of the things that he ended up predicting ended up coming true, including the whole three-letter agency that ended up destroying half of the cities in the U.S. And I'm not talking about the FBI or CIA. Well, actually, I guess you could consider them partly CIA, but yeah. Lots and lots of crazy stuff. The people that destroyed towns in the Summer of Love. It says the Great Salt Lake in Utah has dropped to its lowest level on record for the second time in less than a year as the change-fueled mega drought tightens its grip in the west. The lake's surface water elevation fell to 4,190 feet on Sunday, according to data from the USGS, below the previous record set in July of 2021 at its lowest it had ever been. So this is yet again another record of another lake that is actually going to hit its lowest level ever. So that is on top of all the other Lake Powell, Lake Mead, all of these other crazy lakes that are emptying. Now, GBI, basically the FBI of Georgia, the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, is actually in charge of this whole Georgia Guidestones thing, and that is because apparently the local police and enforcement could not handle it. Now, Dex, I know that you're going to be on the phone here in a second, but if you do want to pop in at any time about this, I know that this was a local attraction to your state, and I believe you got close, but you didn't go there, right? I think that you ended up saying that you weren't able to go there. It basically,
yeah, I've never been, Adam. I've wanted to, but it's never been something that was on the way. It's really out of the way. It's like multiple hours into the middle of nowhere. And there's really the only thing to go is to see that. So it's like a many hour drive for a few minutes of looking at that and that you can see in pictures. So it would be easier if it was in a major town or somewhere else that you would actually go through, or some other reason to go there, then you would swing by and check it out. But yeah, it really is in the middle of nowhere.
Now, if they didn't take pictures of close up, and this is what I really wonder, and a lot of people are wondering the exact same thing, which tablet was first blown up? Now, we actually do have a video, I believe, of this blowing up, so I'm going to show you real quick, and let me make sure that my face is on here.
That tablet was the Hindi language.
The Hindi language are you sure that's been confirmed?
Yeah, it's in one of our it's actually on the Wikipedia. They've updated it on there. That was the one that was the first hit, or the one that was destroyed, and then the rest were knocked over. Because
there were multiple languages explaining these rules, and that of course there were all these rules, including keeping the population under, what is it, 500,000 or something, or 500
million.
500 million.
The other thing I'll tell you, when you watch this video, if you can stop it near the very, very end after the smoke clears, but pay attention to the tablet or the wall, if you want to call it that, the slab that's on the left. When you're looking at it now, before anything happens, you can see that it's horizontally level. And when you get to the end of the video, you can actually see how much it's leaning to the back. So that just for reference, a lot of people just think, hey, that one tablet was blown out, but the whole monument itself shifted back and was leaning. So you can sort of see it after the fact.
The first picture that I got from Dex earlier, because this was local news, a lot of people were obviously talking about this in Georgia. The very first picture before they demolished it was this from an angle where you could see some rubble in the background, but I actually thought that it was still standing. And in fact, I thought that it was still up, and I thought maybe that just a part of the concrete on one side blew out or something. But from the shot that I saw, it looked like it was still standing and it was normal. But apparently that it totally destroyed and totally dissolved one full tablet, and that tablet just blew out. So you can see that here. This was a big explosion. What's crazy is they have this video. What, are they going to end up putting out the video of whoever set it there? Now it is under investigation right now by the GBI. This is actually a county-owned land. There's all sorts of spooky things about the Georgia Guidestones. Obviously it had a moniker and a little post of who made it. But it's just a very odd event here. And this is part of history. This is something that's boggled people's minds. It's really piqued a lot of people's interest and gotten a lot of people that don't truly know about all this stuff interested. In fact, the Georgia Guidestones, I bet, have brought in people to just wonder and to question everything. There was a rule there to keep the population under 500 million people. Now, we have 8 billion, or close to 8 billion, so that would be getting rid of, what is that, 90% of the people on Earth, or, a huge chunk of us, or 1/8. Dex, go ahead. I guess 1/16th, right?
Yeah, well, the other thing that I was going to mention is the company that actually was contracted to build it didn't want to have anything to do with it. And the person who brought it to them, I think his name was Christian or something like that. It's the name he was using, but he was sort of the front person for this anonymous group. Well, they overbid it. They didn't want the job. So they charged him an exorbitant amount of money, hoping he would just go away. But then he said, yeah, no problem. And so then they had to build it. But that's just one of the many tales of this mysterious monument there.
Yeah, this whole thing is really weird. Now, what year did it go up? Do we know? Do we have what year it actually was built?
I think it was in the late 70s, early 80s. I can look real quick. Hang on.
Yeah, if we can find out. And some of the things on there are just absolutely creepy. In fact, let's look at, I'll pull this up, what was inscribed. And there are people here that don't even know what this is.
1980. The best description of it is Wiki. They have a pretty decent description of the technical parts of it.
Let's see. Yeah, actually, that would be... Can we get the actual, the rules that are on those? Let's see.
Yeah, it's on Wiki. I can give you the link to it if you want. It's in Screener right now.
Okay, perfect. So let's go over this. This will be fun. So check this out. This is such an interesting thing in the first place, and now it's gone. Our future, our kids won't have this creepy thing around. Wow, it says this article may be affected by a current event. Information in this article may change. So let's get this over here. So check this out. It says the Georgia Guidestones was a granite monument that stood in Elbert County, Georgia from 1980 until it was destroyed in 2022. The monument stood an approximate elevation of 750 feet above sea level, about 90 miles east of Atlanta, 45 miles from Athens, Georgia, and 9 miles from the center of Elberton. One slab stood in the center with 4 arranged around it. You know what I didn't see either is I didn't see the center slab in some of the shots, but maybe that's because of the angle. The center slab was like this, and then the 5 were going out kind of in I guess a star, not a star, but a square coming out into the middle. Now,
yeah, it also had a solar feature in it where at noon the sun was shining on a specific thing every day on the I don't remember exactly what it was, but there's something with the sun light that hits through the top of it and shines on something
Now,
at noon.
listen to these rules. This is really quite creepy. It says, maintain humanity under 500 million in perpetual balance with nature. 2, guide reproduction wisely, improving fitness and diversity. Now, first of all, guide reproduction wisely. What would that's kind of control of, say, the population, but that's also reproduction, having babies, right? Guide those wisely. Look what is happening right now with everything. Unite humanity with a living new language. It says rule passion, faith, tradition, and all things with tempered reason. It says protect people and nations with fair laws and just courts. Let all nations rule internally, resolving external disputes in a world court. Avoid petty laws and useless officials. Balance personal rights with social duties. Prize truth, beauty, love, seeking harmony with the infinite. And then B, not a cancer on the earth. Leave room for nature. Leave room for nature. Twice. Dex, this is just creepster.
Yeah, what do you think about number 3, though? That part of me wonders if that's something to do with AI.
Oh, that is so flippin' freaky. Unite humanity with a living new language. Oh, that is spooky. That is spooky. But I don't get the whole thing. Let all nations rule internally, resolving external disputes in a world court. Okay, so wait a second. All nations are going to deal with their own stuff, but then resolving external disputes. What is external?
Nation to nation.
Yeah, but in a world court, why would they even put that? Or are they talking outside the planet? Avoid petty laws and useless officials. Well, we don't do that. And then balance personal rights with social duties. Prize truth, beauty, love, seeking harmony with the infinite. This sounds like somebody's off. It's just weird. March 22nd, 1980. Let these guidestones be an age of reason. Around the edges of the square are written translations in 4 ancient languages, 1 per edge, starting from the top of and proceeding clockwise. Babylonian, Classical Greek, Sanskrit, and Ancient Egyptian. This thing was just so creepy. It was 19 feet tall. It was over 230,000 pounds. Let's see here.
Did you see the astronomic features?
The what?
The astronomic features. There was a channel through the stone that indicates the celestial pole. There's a horizontal slot that indicates the annual travel of the sun. And then there was a sunbeam through the capstone that marks noontime throughout the year.
It's just a trip. Yoko Ono said that the inscribed messages are a stirring call to rational thinking, while Wired stated the unspecified opponents have labeled them as the 10 Commandments of the Antichrist. That's what Wired said. It says the Guidestones have become a subject of interest for theorists. One of them, an activist named Mark Dice, demanded that the Guidestones be smashed into 1 million pieces and then the rubble used for a construction project, claiming that Guidestones are a deep satanic origin. One of them and then it says that R.C. Christian belongs to a Luciferian secret society related to the NW and, of course, the O, right? At the unveiling of the monument, a local minister proclaimed he believed the monument was for sun worshippers and for cult worship and for devil worship. None of these critics provided any evidence of their claims. So, again, this thing is now gone. And is this a sign? Give me a call at 2244-00-MARF. I'd love to hear your opinions on this. What a flipping trip. The whole thing is just nuts. Dex.
Yeah, and one last point. We actually had a governor or a candidate for governor this year that was running. Didn't make it, but they were running on a campaign calling it satanic and evil and saying it needs to be destroyed.
Wow. And now it, of course, is. So this is the image. See, when I first saw this, I thought, oh, it's still up. And I saw it on a phone. So this little stack of rubble, I thought maybe just part of the inside of one of the walls was gone. But they completely blew up one of the tablets. What did they use? Who did this? That is going to be a stirring question until it is answered. And I believe, Dex, there is no current answer, correct? There's no suspect in this?
Nothing yet.
And then the GBI came in and ended up deleting, or not deleting, but basically getting rid of the thing. They have gone in and bulldozed the rest of it.
Yeah, I think the what they told us is they bulldozed it for safety because they probably needed to continue the investigation. And as you saw in that explosion video, and you could see it there in that last picture, it was leaning a lot. And the top cap was also broken as well, and the lower sections of the other pieces were broken. So it would have been hazardous, I think, for these explosive experts to go in and try to get the pieces that they need and do all their investigation with this there, because it could literally collapse. So, and they're like 90,000 pounds or something like that. They're very heavy.
Yeah, and with all those people visiting every year. I'm going to go over to the chat real quick. Survival game. They could have set up the detonator way earlier than set them off later. I think it's to lull everyone back to sleep that everything will be okay. Fan on a budget says, looks like a face in the smoke. Oh, you're right. I see that.
They did have a car on camera that left at the time, so they do have that as evidence.
Somebody asked who's responsible. I don't know. Again, it's what if it's a distraction? Well, everything is technically a distraction, but well, I guess the thing about that is I consider distractions when there's two things going on at the same time, and one thing is quietly being done, such as a big thing that happened, a very overturning decision that just happened lately that basically can be fixed in almost every state. So what I'm saying is that decision changed things and everybody's freaking out. Every mainstream media is covering it, but there's ways legally to undo it. So they can make a big stir, have everybody riled up and fighting each other. Meanwhile, they passed some very serious laws, and nobody was very organized on that because everybody was fighting about another thing. I look at a distraction as something that is going on at the very exact time. So if we find out tomorrow that there was some big thing that happened, this was the same day. It technically happened on the same day that... Yeah, no, this happened. Did it happen this early this morning? What else happened?
4 a.m. this morning. In Eastern time, around 4 a.m.
Yeah. So what else happened today? I guess, we'll figure out. I know we have a stacked, news log, and we try to cover everything that's going on. But yeah, I don't know. And then Jay Stone, what's going on? And Dwayne Glower, Lady Light, Weld Slike Butter. No news is covering it. Yes, they actually are. Well, a lot of Georgia news is covering it. If you actually type in Georgia Guidestones to YouTube, the first 10 are probably Georgia news outlets. But Fox has covered it. CNN has covered it. Both sides have covered it. So mainstream has covered it. But not too many people heard about this at first. And then High Park O'Murad, silver car with moonroof left the scene of the explosion with the surveillance video of it leaving. Michael Sellers, Golden Calf, Unprepper. Let's see here, Vogaville. CERN turned on that machine yesterday. I know, just weird. CERN starts and this. Do you realize that? CERN starts, there's a spooky green sky, and then the Georgia Guidestones get demolished. Maybe there was something that happened yesterday. Maybe it woke people up or something, or maybe it put them back to sleep. People aren't going to realize, that was a guide to Depop. All right, before we move on, I want to remind everybody, if you haven't already looked into backing up your power supply, power is one thing that we extremely take for granted right now, and it is also something that has a solution. You can actually back up your house, you can back up your cabin, you can back up yourself with a solar generator. The reason why we suggest solar is one, gas is $7 to $14,000 a gallon, and two, this has no nauseous fumes that you can actually put this inside your house, and three, it is powered by the sun. So essentially you have unlimited power. Again, go over to marfooglenews.com/energy. The greatest part too, it is absolutely silent. No one will hear it from 3 blocks away, which means no one desperate after SHTF or a power outage happens will be able to hear that you have one. This is expandable up to 96 batteries. It's pretty amazing. Again, this is one of the best systems out there because of how flexible it is, how it can be modded to actually triple the input per battery. It's absolutely an amazing system. So if you want a professional, actual good system that will be a portable solar generator, go for this one. Now, they have upwards of $170 off only with our code. Make sure to use the code MARFOOGLE to look at the different packages and the different discounts. Again, marfooglenews.com/energy, INERGY. All right. Thank you guys and in advance for going over and supporting us. Again, when you get that, you are not only getting a discount, you're getting an amazing product that will keep your power going, but you're also helping our channel. They end up sending us a commission when you go and purchase something from them. So thank you guys in advance. All right, and then Dex, we have a caller on the line, and it looks like we have. Let's see here. Richard. Richard is live on Marfoogle News.
Hey, Marf, how's it going?
Hey, how are you doing?
Pretty good.
So let's see here. You wanted to talk about. Let's see here, the Guidestones and a recent visit. So what's going on with that?
Yeah, well, so I was just out there in May because I was in the area and I was like, oh, I got to see these for myself because I was visiting one of my buddies who was stationed out there. And so, I don't know, it was just interesting. It was kind of weird at the time because when I went out there, so I was there for a little bit. And when I first showed up, there was nobody there, just me. And then I'm pretty aware of things around me. And so in the one camera that they have is pretty obvious. It's pointing right at the parking lot. And then, but it only catches like half of the Guidestone. So there's a way if you're standing behind one of the stones where the camera can't really get line of sight of you. And it's just, those are things I pay attention to because that's just how my mind works. And so those are things I noticed when I was there. But, yeah, and it's weird. And I met these 2 guys showed up when I was there and they were, really nice guys, self-proclaimed miracle workers through, Jesus, and God is what they claimed. And, they talked to me for a little bit and then they posted a paper plate on one of them with a verse. Let me see if I can find the picture here real quick.
They gave you a paper plate with a Bible verse on it?
Yeah, and they stuck it on the English verse of the Guidestones. And yeah, right here. So it was Daniel 5:25-28. You have been weighed in the balances and found wanting. Repent and be baptized in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit.
Can I ask, what did these 2 guys look like? So you're saying that they self-proclaim themselves as miracle workers that come out to the Georgia Guidestones, which is a long drive out to the middle of nowhere just to see these, and they handed you a Bible verse.
Well, no, they didn't hand it to me. They stuck it on the Guidestones while I was there. And then, so they took like a piece of gum and a paper plate and just stuck it on there. But no, and they don't go just to the Georgia Guidestone. So the story they told me was they go around the whole country, and that it was just
one of their stops.
Like, I guess I was supposed to meet them there. Yeah. And I don't know, it was interesting. But what really makes, I always wonder now, because there's a time capsule next to the Guidestones that the Mr. Christian or whatever, but I think that's what he said the guy's name was who funded it.
Oh my, what's happening with that? And what does it have in it? What in the world? I forgot about that.
Yeah, and that's what's got my curiosity is like, okay, so what, are they going to open the time capsule now? Are they going to just leave it, or how does that work? Are they going to rebuild it? Is someone going to? I don't know. But that's just the thoughts that go through my mind. And it was just a weird story that was just. It happened to be there a couple months ago.
That time capsule. What was this? Oh my gosh! This thing is. Oh, I forgot about that. So there's a time capsule in this thing, or what right by it. And if this is destroyed, then they're probably going to open that time capsule up. It's been there for decades, and now it's open. What? This is what I'm talking about. What in the hell is about to happen? I'm sorry, but for the people that just see it as like, well, it was just some statue, and people just get all these weird ideas. Look at what is happening in our planet. Everywhere across the planet, Richard, we had people go through this event from 2019 to 2021, and it made people realize that things can happen to all of us at the same time. And then this, and look at all the weird stuff that people know is wrong, but then they just tell you right to your face, everything's okay. There's conflict. There's everything. I mean, every biblical sign that there possibly is, it's here. And people are still asleep. I don't get it, Richard.
Yeah, I don't either. It always, and I mean, everything. It's everywhere you look. I mean, from the economy, whatever, but it seems like it's everywhere. And then it always just makes me think of that meme, though, where it's like the house is on fire and the guy's just sitting there drinking coffee saying, oh, everything's fine.
You want to hear a real trip? Last night I watched an old movie. It's actually, I was watching, I was amazed on how high quality it is when you watch I Am Legend. It's considered old because it's 15 years old. You want to know a real trip? Last night I watched, and there's this one scene where he's in this abandoned city. He's in New York. It's abandoned. The gas prices, guess what they were? They were $6.85 per gallon. And what's crazy, it was like, and that was for it. I wonder if I can find this, but I was just thinking, what are the odds that today's gas prices actually match up with their idea of an apocalyptic future? And even the premise of that thing was that they were coming up with a cure for cancer, and they ended up creating this thing that, ended up going across the planet and destroying all of us. Let's see here. I wonder if anybody else noticed that, by the way. I mean, the gas prices are matching current gas prices. Wonder if they have a scene of it. It's a trip. Oh, yeah. Look at this. Look at this. 663, 687, and 695. This isn't an apocalyptic future. And the apocalypse, and back then, remember 2007, our gas prices were at $1.90, $2. It probably just went past that $2 mark, or I don't even know. It might not even been that. But this was like an envisioning of somebody else. And I watched it last night, and I was just thinking, God, it's such a trip that this is what my local gas station is at right now. 663 or 695 for premium. And I was just thinking, man. So we are in some crazy times, Richard. I think that's weird. If you have a picture of that plate or whatever picture of them sticking it on the Guidestones, I'm sure people would love to see that. If you want to send it in, we can post it.
Well, so the problem I run into is transferring it to my phone because it's on my digital camera, and then where I'm at, I'm kind of in the boonies, so I have phone service, but I can't get my hotspot to work for my internet on my laptop. So I'll see if I can transfer it to my phone through my laptop.
Or you can just take a picture with your phone of your digital camera screen. Either way,
That's too easy.
very interesting story there. And if anybody else has a story like Richard, let us know. Richard, thank you for calling in today. I appreciate you.
Yeah, no, my pleasure. And yeah, just, keep doing what you guys are doing. Me and the Foogle fam, we love it and appreciate it. And you know what? Just prepare for the worst and pray for the best.
I agree with that. Richard, thank you for calling. Again, make sure not to be a stranger. That was Richard from Washington. And thank you, Travis Kitts. Thank you for the support. Thank you for the super chat there. And I do want to make sure I get everybody. Travis Kitts, thank you so much. Appreciate that. Lunacy Prepper says, hello from South Georgia. Thank for all the information you provide us. Thank you, Lunacy. Did you make me think of, what is that, Luna Cafe or Lola Cafe? Bible Talk for Common People, getting rid of evidence before they get rid of us. Ooh, that is just a trip. And let's see, Quat DSNY. I'm trying to see if that's a word. Quatsene says, Daniel from Logic Before Authority showed how it was lightning that destroyed one pillar. Go watch. If it was an explosion, it would have come down, and Elite would have shown video of people setting the explosives. So if there's video of lightning, and if that was lightning, just saying, that would be, I think then people would start turning to God. So if there is truly a video of lightning hitting it, I want to see it. And again, I would not be surprised in times like this. Bible Talk for Common People says that's the gas circle from a battle royale. Oh, trip. What a trip. And then Zenwen AZ, thank you for being the last one out. And then Bible Talk 777, obviously familiar name there as well. Thank you as well for being last show and this show. Thank you. All right. And then what do you guys think? Let us know. Give us a call at 224-400-MARF. Gov tells the PM, Prime Minister, he must go with claims Chief Whip believes game is up. It says Michael Gove tells the Prime Minister he must go with claims Chief Whip he also believes game is up as ministers start sending mass resignation letters after Saeed Javid delivers vicious parting shot saying the team is only as good as the captain. It says Boris Johnson looks increasingly doomed today as Michael Gove is said to have told him to quit, and there are claims that the chief whip also believes it is done. It says the leveling up secretary who notoriously stabbed Mr. Johnson in the back to end his leadership hopes in 2016 apparently urged the prime minister to to admit he is finished at a meeting this morning before a brutal PMQ's ordeal. The intervention uncovered by Mail Plus emerged as the situation slips further out of Mr. Johnson's control, with Chief Whip Chris Heaton-Harris also seemingly in despair and ministers sending mass resignation letters. 5 senior MPs, Kemi Bodenosh, Julia Lopez, Lee Raleigh, Neil O'Brien, and Alex Burkhardt penned a joint message calling on him to go. Now, one thing I've noticed about Boris Johnson and how it works over there and everything with the Prime Minister and with they have pretty crazy sessions. I don't know if you've ever seen one of those on TV, but it's almost, and, of course, we have some crazy stuff that goes on in the U.S., but it's crazy to watch their kind of congressional, I guess I don't know the terms for what their house, right? What is it? I'm missing the word here. Gem or anybody if you want to chime in. But essentially when they do their meetings, they do the hear ye and yay and nay and all this crazy cultural traditional stuff that they've done for hundreds of years. And some of it is like they'll say something and then the whole crowd cheers or does their yay or nays or. And it seems like it's almost theater. And I know that we have a lot of theater in our politics and things like that, but it's just different. It's completely different. They sit on two sides of the room and they cheer at each other and say, insult each other and all sorts of stuff. And the last couple of years, Boris Johnson, especially after he threw a party where nobody had to wear a covering and said, bring your own beer or bring your own whatever. It was all sorts of craziness in the sessions that they held. So as far as this goes, something is going on with their whole government. It says in a personal statement to the Commons immediately after PMQs, it said that watched in silence by Mr. Johnson, the former health secretary, said that maintaining honesty and integrity matters. He said that he had spent many months giving Mr. Johnson the benefit of the doubt, but insisted there was a point where enough is enough, saying that ministers had been repeatedly sent out to defend lines that don't hold up. Mr. Javid made clear that the Chris Pincher crisis had been the final straw. It says in a stark message to ministers who have decided to stay in place, Mr. Javid says not doing something is an active decision. It said it came minutes after Mr. Johnson faced a barrage of criticism as he desperately tries to cling on. Desperate, a swath more ministers resigning and even more loyalists turning on him. Robert Jenrick, an early backer of the Prime Minister's leadership ambitions, alongside Oliver Dowden and Rishi Sunak among the withdrawn confidence. So, again, this is something is about to go down with Boris Johnson, and it definitely looks like worldwide there are a lot of changes happening at the moment. So we are looking at some crazy times ahead of us. Now, if you're in Europe and if you're over there and you have a better grip on some of this stuff, please let us know. I actually want to get someone who is somewhat of an expert on everything that is going on in the European countries and somebody who actually lives there to be able to come on the show and talk about all of these things, because our media does not cover this on a daily, because obviously it is not something that is going on here. I would like to get some new perspective on what people think of Boris Johnson that are over there. I'd love to hear it. And then Donovan Wirt, thank you from Canada. Nana of Montana, I will be gone for a while. Thank you, Adam Dex Mods. May be blessed and safe. Good night, all. Nana of Montana, no matter how long you are gone, you are always welcome back. And thank you so much for your support. And thank you for many times supporting. Travis Kitts, thank you. Quantum Trinity Ministry, I appreciate you. And thank you, everybody that is new joining. Shout out to Irish Rebel, Nadia Boograve, and Stoli Clark. Thank you guys for popping in. And then oil from U.S. reserves head overseas as gasoline prices stay high. More than 5 million barrels of oil that were part of a historic U.S. emergency oils reserve release aimed at lowering domestic fuel prices were exported to Europe and Asia last month, according to data and sources, even as the U.S. gasoline and diesel prices touched record highs. The export of crude and fuel is blunting the impact of the moves by President JB, designed to lower record pump prices. President B on Saturday renewed a call for gasoline suppliers to cut their prices, drawing criticism from Amazon founder Jeff Bezos. Now, basically what Jeff Bezos says, he basically said, you're putting the blame on everybody else, but not realizing, just standard business practices, supply and demand, and everything else. It says about 1 million barrels per day is being released from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, the SPR. Through October, the flow is draining the SPR, which last month fell to the lowest since 1986. U.S. crude futures are above $105 per barrel, and gasoline and diesel prices are above $5 a gallon in 1/5 of the nation. It says U.S. officials have said oil prices could be higher if the SPR had not been tapped. Okay. It says the fourth largest U.S. oil refiner, Phillips 66, shipped about 470,000 barrels of sour crude from the Big Hill SPR storage site in Texas to Trieste, Italy, according to U.S. Customs data. Basically, they're sending stuff all over the world, and meanwhile, our pump prices are at astronomical, I am legend status here. Literal literal I am legend, end of the world status in most of the country. So not great, and a lot of people are at least just saying, hey, he won't take any responsibility for any of it. I understand that there's other things going on, including Vlad and all of this, but again, there were things that we could have done. There's a bigger change going on. It's not as you can't take any of this stuff at face value, because there's a lot of events that are going on that obviously could have been done differently. So big, a lot of people are really, really pissed off, and big changes are happening as we speak. And then I ran to the store, detained several foreigners, including senior UK diplomat, for alleged spying. It says IRGF have detained several foreigners, including Britain's second most senior envoy in Tehran, for alleged acts of spying, such as taking soil samples in restricted areas. State television reported on Wednesday. It says it did not say whether those detained were still under arrest. Britain said that the reports were, quote, completely false. These spies were taking earth samples in the store Central Desert, where the Revolutionary Guard's aerospace missile exercises were conducted. Now, I don't know if any of you guys have a guess why they were taking soil. Again, it says that possibly to see what chemicals they were using, if they were, I guess, nuclear. It says the TV showed footage of Giles Whittaker and his family in central Iran, where the British diplomat appeared to be taking ground samples. The TV said it was near an area that a missile test was taking place. Whittaker was expelled from the area after apologizing. It said one of those detained was identified by state TV as the husband of Austria's cultural attaché in Iran to the store. It also showed a picture of a third foreigner, identified him as Maciej Walczak, a university professor in Poland, whom said it was visiting as a tourist. So things like this can be a hot point and can actually start worldwide events. That's why we pay attention to it. But it also looks like the I country does not want anybody taking soil samples and things like this, which isn't kind of a bad sign, because obviously I wonder what was in those ground samples. So we'll see, and we'll follow it, and we'll update it. And then SK's Yoon warns of stern retaliation in case of NK's provocation. So there's been a tit for tat going on over the last month. We have seen very strong words between the South and the North of the Koreas. And of course, President Yoon Suk Yeol ordered the military on Wednesday to promptly and sternly retaliate in case of any NK provocation, amid concerns that the North can conduct its first nuclear test in 5 years. Yoon, who took office in May, presided over his first meeting with top military commanders and called for strong capabilities to deter NK's nuclear and missile programs. It says NK has this year been conducting missile tests at an unprecedented pace and is believed to be preparing for its 7th nuclear test. So this is also a flashpoint in the world, and obviously there have been a lot of words being said. How much of it is saber-rattling? Just yesterday or the day before, we covered that NK actually released a dam, and again, did we ever get an update? Was it obviously on purpose? That dam released water, and they actually had to evacuate parts of South Korea, which was a big deal. Obviously, if it took lives, it could have been an act of conflict. And then let's see here. Last week, Yoon met with U.S. President JB and Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida on the sidelines of the NATO summit in Madrid, and agreed to explore further means to reinforce, quote, extended deterrence against NK. Essentially saying that NATO will, possibly help them with NK. NK doesn't like that either. All right, and then before we move on, and we're gonna go to our next caller, I do want to remind everybody, as far as some of the threats that are prevalent in today, are EMP and CME. If you don't know what an electromagnetic pulse or a coronal mass ejection are, I would highly recommend to go down that rabbit hole, because it is one of, it's a set of the biggest threats to not only us here in the U.S., but the entire planet. You can actually protect your generators. You can protect your house. You can protect your cars. You can protect your RVs, your motorcycles, your boats with an EMP shield. This is the same company that has now been contracted with agencies like DHS, DOD, and of course the Dempsey team on the Texas grid. You can get this kind of protection for your personal home, your personal car, and your personal generator over at marfooglenews.com/EMP. We think that when one of these events, if it happens, that this will end up saving lives or getting people home instead of stranding them. Again, if you want your car to run when no one else's does, then I would highly recommend getting an EMP shield on your car. It takes about 10 minutes to put in your car. The other models, some actually require you get a electrician to do it, but most of the smaller models can be wired in by anybody, even without extreme knowledge of electronics. So go over to marfooglenews.com/EMP. Go over there right now and check it out. They have I don't know if the sale is still going, but any sale that they're going, so when they had the 4th of July sale, that actually stacks with our $50 off. Our discount always stacks on top of their sales, so whenever there's any kind of holiday, make sure to go over and check it out because you will get a stacking discount. That's marfooglenews.com/EMP. All right, and then remember you can call us at 224-4000-MARF. It looks like we have Justin, a first-time caller, talking about photons in the sun, calling from West Virginia. Let's see, Justin, and it looks like Dex is trying to get him on now.
Adam, I'm trying to get him on the line. It's I had a technical issue on my side, so one more second.
Okay, I'm gonna go over this article and we can come right back to it. It says Xi poses biggest long-term threat to economic and national security, FBI Director Wray warns. We've covered that they are now way more public about what is kind of happening, and it's funny because it's like half of our country is saying that they're bad, and then the other half doesn't care, I guess. And I'm not even talking about political parties. I'm talking about in general. It's a bipartisan effect that there's a lot of people talking about Xi and actually that country being one of the biggest threats. FBI Director Christopher Wray on Wednesday said Xi poses the biggest long-term threat to the economic and national security of the United States and Western allies, and warned that Beijing is, quote, trying to shape the world. This is like playing out in front of everybody. They're basically saying that Xi is behind a lot of this. Dex, let's have Justin.
Yes,
Justin, what's going on? You first-time caller out of West Virginia.
Hey, Adam. Yes, sir. I am a first-time caller. I got to give credit to Jacob Israel. That's how I found you. But I am a first-time caller. I wanted to speak to you about photons tonight for one moment, if that's okay.
Go for it. Let's hear it.
I believe, Adam, I listened. I've been watching Jacob Israel, and I've been watching Global Witness and stuff. I've been watching those guys for well over 3 years for Jacob, and over 5 years with Derek. And I'm about to say something that's a little different. So I just want to say that I'm not connected to anyone. I'm not connected to Marfoogle or anything like that. I would never do anything to harm you guys' platform or anything like that. But I believe that we are all holograms being projected from photons from our star colliding with existing matter. Like, that's the projection. Our sun is hitting the earth, and it's kind of like projecting the show. It is what I really believe that, and I've kind of gone into this pretty deep recently in the last 6 months. But I just want you to know that I really, really support you. I really support Marfoogle, and I really believe that you and Dex are raising human consciousness. So no matter what I say tonight, I just want you to know that, like, I really do support you, and that I believe that you are really, really helping things as a whole.
Now, when you say projecting, so because we're all made out of atoms, right? The knowledge of that we're made of atoms. So what you're saying is the sun is hitting us, and that our actual existence is a projection?
Well, the sun's not hitting up. The sun's not technically hitting us. It's hitting something that's already existing and creating us. Like me and you aren't like real. Like we're real as far as like in like a spiritual matter, but me and you having this conversation right now on the internet is more like the sun bouncing off the moon and then bouncing off the earth, and it's like creating like a show.
So where
like our sun,
is there somewhere where people can find
sun's real name?
This theory?
Our sun's real name is Soul.
So where does this theory come from? Because I've been on here for 4 years and I've taken a lot of calls.
It doesn't really come from anywhere. It just comes from. It just kind of comes from. It doesn't come from anywhere. I'm not an expert in anything. It doesn't really come from anywhere.
That's okay. You don't have to be an expert.
I just think that's what's happening.
Well, so I guess a lot of people have questions. Somebody says, how do holograms feel pain? Or is that just a construct of...
Well, if you think about it, when you go to a drive-in movie and you watch the drive-in movie, right, you're sitting in your car, you're watching this movie be projected onto this projector screen. The actors who created the movie were fully solid when they created it. Like they weren't pretend. Like they were real people in the third dimension, and they followed out scripts and stuff. I think that's what me and you are doing right now, Adam. I really do. Just because me and you aren't aware of the script doesn't mean it's not happening. I really do believe our star is bouncing off the moon right now and projecting our whole entire conversation, the connection of the internet, and everything. I think it's all a projection.
So wait, is the
I
sun...
really think we're more than...
Is sun God then? And what happens when the sun is on the other side of...
Well, there has to be some form of intelligent creator of it all. There has to be. But what I'm saying is that me and you are actually external of this conversation. Like how... Maybe in some small way, I hopefully, because you've done it to me so many times, that maybe some small way I've piqued your curiosity a little bit. That doesn't matter. It doesn't even matter. It's just part of your avatar, your character. It doesn't even, it's just part of it. So what I'm speaking to right now isn't actually Adam. It's Adam's player. And
so it's like a simulation.
Just like you're not really speaking to Justin, you're speaking to Justin's player in the matter. Like I really believe that it all comes down to our star is actually named Soul. I think, it's nighttime right now where most of us are. I really think it's still just photons bouncing from our star off of the moon and projecting a movie, and that movie is being played out in me and Adam's curiosity at the moment. We might not completely understand our characters, but our characters still exist.
Well, I know that most people are very confused by it, so that's why I asked if there was somewhere where you may have gotten or
I'm
heard
willing
this.
to try to answer anything because I didn't try to come up with something to confuse people ever. I don't want to confuse anyone. That's not what I want to do.
Well, by the way, this is your personal view. You're entitled to it. Thank you for everybody that is being polite in the chat.
Yeah, I'm not speaking on behalf of any institution. I'm not speaking on behalf of any YouTube channel or any creator platform or anything like that.
No, you're entitled to that.
On behalf
no, you're entitled to that. And I guess I was trying to figure out. It's basically the sun is the central kind of power that's projecting a simulation, and we are basically prisms or reflections off of the moon.
It's bouncing, though. It's bouncing. Like if you think about it, if you think about how our projectors work and stuff, and then our moon seems to have similarities to our landscape of Earth. So what I mean by that is that there's people who believe that we're inside of some simulation that is contracted from the moon. I don't believe that. I just believe that the photons from the sun are bouncing off the moon and creating us. But there's already something here. There's already some form of existing
Did
matter.
you ever see
if you go back to the Sumerian, if you go back to the Sumerian tablets, it kind of explains this in a way that's confusing, though, because everyone thinks like Enki and Enlil is just these two existing like hominoids that come from the Nibiru and stuff. But really, to me, they kind of sound like movie directors. They kind of sound like they are orchestrating something to me. Personally, it's just a different way to look at it. Like I said, I'm not connected to Marfoogle. I'm not connected to any YouTube channel. These are my personal opinions. I highly respect what Marfoogle does, what Jacob Israel does, what Global Witness does. I truly believe inside my heart that what these guys do raises consciousness among the masses. I don't want to harm that in any way whatsoever. I've thought hard about even calling in and speaking because I didn't want to affect things and do anything negative.
That's right. So, Justin, again, we're out of time, but I want to say for most people, because a lot of people obviously are going to be, oh, this is crazy or this is an acid trip and a half. First of all, if you know, well, hold on, let me finish. So basically, if you've gone into any kind of scientific stuff that is accepted as fact, just to throw out one little one, time goes faster the closer you are to Earth. That is a fact. That is, well, accepted fact as far as science goes. So just think about that.
That's where it's happening.
But actually, that would kind of back up your thing. That it's a projection, and the closer to Earth, the farther away from the projection. But I'm just saying that there's stuff that is way beyond if you go into some of the craziest sciences and what we accept as fact. And I'm not saying I accept them as fact. I'm just saying the astrophysicists and the different things that we consider fact right now are so far out there that it's like, but then you look and you're like, oh, they have a reason. They have theories behind it. They have proven studies behind it, whatever else. I'm just saying we're open-minded to a lot of different things. You're not hurting the show. I think that people that are not patient enough to listen to something like, that's outside their realm, then this may not be the show for them. But Justin, thank you so much for calling in. I appreciate you.
No, thank you for everything you guys do. Seriously, I feel like you guys are a real force of nature, like a real force of good.
All right, well, thank you.
I really believe that.
Thank you, Justin, and I appreciate the compliments, and I know Dex does as well. Thank you for calling in, and again, it's your first time call. Don't make it your last. All right, that was Justin, and no, I'm not. The thing is I kind of get where he's saying, but if you have ever had a crazy theory, it's hard to say it, especially when you only have a few minutes, and it's also hard to explain it. I'm not saying that I agree with that, but I have seen a lot of things around this. I ask because a lot of people will end up having, they follow somebody, or there's a theologian or something that has this theory. If he personally came up with that himself, that's actually that's something you don't see very often. So it's definitely, I guess I try to look at it and see how would that be possible, and I definitely have questions. But most people aren't even thinking at all. They just go with what they read, or they go with what they see. But everybody has a different life. And then people saying acid or LSD or whatever else. By the way, there are some things like people have. Some of the craziest inventions came out of people that have done ayahuasca or done some sort of thing. They, in some cases they use, what do you call them? Hallucinogenic substances in small doses, and it opens up their brain. I would say just try to be open-minded. There could be a way where it actually coincides with what you believe as well. I'm not saying this one does, but again, everything everybody can have their own opinion, and people got to stop getting offended by other people's opinions and thoughts. That's not the point of the show. The point of the show is just to think about and hear every kind of different thing out there. All right, and let's see here. As far as this goes, the Christopher Wray, I mean, it's kind of a big deal as far as the way he's saying it. The FBI director is essentially saying that Xi is shaping the planet. And it's that kind of backs up my theory that Xi is involved in all of this, including Vlad's country and everything else. And then look at, during all of this, while everybody else is sanctioning Vlad, Xi is building a physical bridge from his country to Vlad's and being no limits partners, buying more gas than ever. Meanwhile, if we're supporting Xi and we're sending all of our money to Xi to buy and to build everything that we do, including just recently, a month ago, our military was sending crap over to Xi's country to be made, then we are basically supporting Vlad via China. I mean, like, don't people get this? And then, of course, India buying 6 times more oil than they did last year, same month, after the sanctions. They're making up for everything. The sanctions they're not even real. It's kind of like this overturned decision. Even though they overturn the decision, it's not going to change much in states like, mine in Washington. You're still going to be able to go get the operation. Because guess what? They'll change things. They'll rearrange things. They could pack the court and undo it. That's what I'm saying. There's loopholes and things around it. Well, I think Xi is a part of all of this. And look at who they found out and they covered up where the whole thing came from. This whole 2019 stuff. It's just nuts. And then Vlad responds. The country of Vlad responds after Vladimir call with Emmanuel Macron leaked. Now, let me go over and just make sure we have everybody lined up right now. It looks like we have Vincent on deck. Dex, do you want to pop in and comment on this as far as this leaked call?
Yeah, this is kind of a big deal when it comes to etiquette, and as they refer to it as diplomatic etiquette. There's not any room for leaking when it comes to this kind of stuff. When there's calls between leaders of nations and they're intended to be private, they're supposed to be held that way. So for this to leak out, that's what the reaction is coming from Vlad, is that, hey, why, this is absurd that this would happen, because it's never supposed to happen this way. It's just not the way, the etiquette works. And so they're really upset over this. I don't know exactly if there was anything super, gotcha or damning in the messages, but it's just the fact that it was leaked, right?
Look at how many things have been leaked lately, including every concealed weapon permit owner in California. The overturning of this decision was just leaked. All these things just keep leaking, and it keeps making big headlines as far as what Sergei Lavrov said Wednesday, that the publication of the call, in which 2 presidents opened fire in a barrage of words, was a breach of diplomatic etiquette. Diplomatic etiquette does not provide for unilateral leaks of such recordings, Lavrov said in a trip to Vietnam. It said the details of the confidential call days before Moscow's military operation in UKR were revealed by the broadcaster France 2 in a documentary on the French president's handling of the conflict. It says the call has taken place on February 20th, just 3 days before. And it says the French president reportedly blew up at Vlad over suggestions that France should negotiate with pro-Vladian separatists residing in UKR. It says, I don't know where your lawyers learned the law, Macron reportedly told Vlad. It is not separatists who are going to make proposals in UKR laws. Of course, we have completely different reading of the situation, Vlad replied. It says, I don't know what jurist will be able to tell you that in a sovereign country, the texts of laws are proposed by separatist groups and not by the democratically elected authorities. It says then Vlad, now enraged, shot back and says, this is not a democratically elected government. They came to power in a coup. There were people burned alive. It was a bath of blood, and is one of those responsible. So, by the way, if they have actual audio of Vlad saying this, you could see the view of what they think of that whole setup. And if you actually think, and I'm just saying, be open-minded. Everybody's been kind of drained on, they're the new Adolf of the world. But I would say open your mind, because the actual president of that country was an actor who played a president on TV. If you don't think there's something weird with that, then I don't know what is. Had no political experience. They were like, oh, he plays one good on TV. I can't believe this is a true story. He played in a very popular show that he went from a nothing nobody to the president. And then he did it in real life. When does that happen? He was a stand-up comedian. Everybody liked him. So they're like, he's likable. He's played one on TV. He's really good at standing at a podium and talking. And in that show, I don't know if you guys have seen clips of it, he does these crying moments. He does these like very touching moments. Which those same touching moments in real life ended up all over TikTok, and people cheered it on. And if you remember, they basically now they've confirmed that a lot of these crazy hero stories were not actually real. So I'm saying look at both sides and question everything. I'm not saying that one side is right or the other side is right. Now you can be accused of carrying somebody's water or whatever. All I'm saying is if you dig deep enough, and if you're in the U.S. or any other country and you've dug at what your own governments have done in world history, then you should probably know that there are agencies like CIA and KGB and all these different agencies that have done super crazy operations. And what's been declassified now, and that we know for a fact, is all of these agencies have done horrific, horrible things. All of them. So what we can see down on this level is if you look hard enough, you will find some very weird things and possibly even disappear if you say those things out loud. So just a lot of crazy stuff is going on right now, and most of you guys already see it. We don't all agree on one thing, but we can all agree that I guess the main point of the show is to let people know it's not a sugar-coated, rainbows and ponies everywhere. You should prepare for something you don't expect. In fact, the thing that you don't expect the least is probably going to happen. Our military groups say it will. And that's why I don't care if people call it a fear-mongering or war-mongering or whatever. I think WW3 is coming, and it's going to serve a purpose for the people at the very top. It's not going to serve as people go, why would they do that? Why would millions perish? What do you mean? It's happened several times before. Do you think we've just grown humanity and now all of a sudden we don't want millions of people, including children, to perish? Yeah, most of us do. But there are people that are like, well, as long as I don't perish, I'm fine with it. And if I get 10 times, 100 times, 1,000 times richer, then I'm okay with that too. If I get more power, then I'm okay with it. Collateral damage. Top Vladian official crazed threat. Alaska takeover could be next. What? Dex, think about this. Alaska, which, by the way, we moved a ton of artillery to Alaska about a year and a half, 2 years ago, before all this happened. In fact, it was before the conflict. And we have moved the Iron Dome, again, to Guam, basically, signaling that we're possibly even thinking about defending our other coastlines, right? As far as these comments, this is pretty extreme.
Well, yeah. So they're basically saying, hey, as you seize our assets, remember the asset we sold you, and, insinuating that they could take it back. Kind of a scary thought. I mean, they're right there. It's not far from, it's obviously, literally a short jump across the water, very short jump.
That call with Alaska Prepper the other day, Alaska Prepper says, he preps for the things he can. And we talked about it, and there's things he can't. People always ask him, they go, well, what if, Vlad sends a missile over to Alaska? That would be a super easy target. In fact, I don't even think they could do shorter range missiles and actually hit there, right? And he said, well, then I'll be gone in a second. I'm not going to prepare for that. I'm not going to be scared of that, because if it does hit, I'm gone, and that's it. That's why he gets right with his creator. But as far as if that happened to us, if say we're in the lower 48, if Alaska's gone, we're still here, and that means it just kicked off. So that's a scary thought of them taking that, but it also makes me think of all of the military gear we have shipped up to Alaska. It's kind of like 2 years ago when we told you it looks like they're beefing up Alaska. Now it kind of makes sense, doesn't it? It says, let America always remember there is a part of Vladian territory, Alaska. So when we start trying to dispose of our resources abroad, before they do it, let them think we also have something to return. That is creepy. And then it said Dmitry Medvedev, which we covered, the deputy secretary of Latvia's Security Council, took the threats even further and hinted at nuclear escalation. It says, quote, the idea to punish a country with the largest nuclear potential is absurd and potentially creates the threat of mankind's existence, he said, referring to Vladia, which maintains more nuclear warheads than any other country. So there's that. Now, I hope none of this ever happens, but time and time again, we have seen the unexpected happening. It says Medvedev suggested the United States hasn't been held accountable for several bloody encounters and territorial grabs itself and would do well not to look at Vlad before examining its own history. It says the entire U.S. history since the times of subjugation of the Native American population represents a series of bloody conflicts. The U.S. and its useless stooges should remember the words of the Bible, do not judge and you will not be judged, so that the great day of his wrath doesn't come to their home one day. Kind of like the first take out the sliver out of your eye before looking at somebody else. It's definitely creepy. Hopefully nothing like that ever happens. Vlad's big turning point in the conflict could finally be here, which, by the way, if you haven't been following us, a lot more land has been covered. They have actually taken big chunks of UKR, and now they're admitting it. And by they, I mean the world media is admitting it. Before they were saying they're triumphantly winning and pushing back the enemy. The enemy now controls huge chunks of UKR. And it says that Vladian forces took a key region in eastern UKR over the weekend, thanks in part to Moscow stepping up its coordination and conflict planning. It says this change in Vladian forces' approach to fighting in eastern UKR could be the early signs of a brand new and worrying phase in Vlad's devastating conflict in UKR. So wait, what they're basically saying is that Vlad and the military, that before this event ever happened, nobody doubted that they had a crazy insane military. In fact, their military and their special forces are something to be compared directly with ours. They're not like the cheap off-brand or something. They come from deprivation without restoration, as Canadian Prepper puts it. They are some tough mofos, and nobody doubts that. Before this, people would make fun of, and it's like a running joke, like how crazy it is and how tough it is in Vlad's country. Even the videos of just people driving tanks through the streets and stuff like this. I don't understand why it's like somehow looked at like it's non-patriotic to say that they have a force. You never underestimate your enemy, and you don't sugarcoat it and say, oh, these guys are a bunch of pansies. Anybody really think that Vlad and his country are a bunch of pansies? That's kind of a crazy thought. You never underestimate your enemy, especially if you want to win. But as far as this goes, they are taking chunks, and it looks all of a sudden now experts are saying overnight their whole strategy changed, and they're just taking stuff like left and right. In the beginning, people were like, why are they failing so bad? Why are they sending in the oldest weapons? They were sending in 1900s rifles with conscripts, people they pulled off the street and said, go in front. Have we seen that before? Have we seen where they took unexperienced people and put them on the front lines just to be, unalived? Yeah, in almost every conflict. And those are the people that push it. And then they could have been getting a response from the world, see which people are on which sides, which people objected, which people gave them crap or were part of the sanctions, or which people joined NATO. Looks like everybody's siding up for the big one. That's just my opinion. What's yours? Let me know. But again, my opinion is based on my opinion talking to many military and many folks that are active and retired. I'm just trying to get the realism of what is going on right now, and I think a lot of people want to deny that we are heading into some bad times. And if you're denying that we're heading into bad times, you're probably not prepping, and you're probably not taking it seriously. Dex, by the way, thank you, everybody. I do want to say thank you to a few people that did super thanks on the last show. Something's Wrong with the Ocean, Nettie 2550. Thank you for the super thanks on that show. And then Dr. Casey. Thank you, Dr. Casey. I appreciate your massive support on large sharks. Something's Wrong with the Ocean. Marcy Rush. Thank you again for your super thanks on the replay. And then Christina Cromley and Awakened Believer. Thank you guys for the super thanks. Again, those are basically super chats that are on the replay. Thank you guys. And then everybody that just popped in, we have a bunch of new people. Thank you, Stoli Clark. Everybody, welcome Stoli Clark to the Marfia. Nadia Bowgrave or Burgrave. I think I said that right. Let's see here. Stevie Wonder. Thank you for subscribing. Scaniff. And thank you so much for subscribing. Roy Munson 58, welcome. Go Secret Word, thank you for subscribing. Alex Gallegos says Positive Psychology by Lopez talks Xi and his country as a collectivistic society and how it's like an amoeba. It eats from various angles, culture, industry, media, etc. Oh, interesting. I'll have to look at that book. Ghost Hunter 2021, thank you for your support. Christina Cromley, my husband and I love your show. We've watched it for years. Thanks, Marv Dex, and all of the work you guys put into making a great show. You guys are our go-to news channel. And then, of course, we have Rich123480. Thank you for subscribing. Chia Lisa and Urban Prepper 34. Thank you. I appreciate your support. And then Donovan Wirt from Canada. Again, thank you, and thank you. Urban Prepper, if you do have a channel, make sure to DM me and send me your link. All right, and then Dex, let's get our next caller. We have Vincent talking about the Guidestones and calling from Hawaii. Let's get Vincent on the phone. Vincent is going to be popping in. It looks like he's going to try to get Vincent in. Meanwhile, if you haven't already, make sure to go over to marfuglenews.com/prep. You can get long-term survival foods such as MREs, flash frozen foods, and of course, freeze-dried foods that are all packaged, basically set up so you don't have to think about it. As far as you have a 72-hour kit for a 3-day kit, you have a 1-month kit, you have a 3-month kit, you have all sorts of selections, or you can buy individual packages. So make sure to go over there and check it out. You get a discount on the 3-month supply right now, $150 off. That basically has everything you need. Just add water and cook. Boom, you've got yourself survival basics there. If you're wondering what to put in there and how to live and how to survive and you're new to all of it, just get a prepackaged setup for 3 months and you're set. Again, they say that you should have at least 90 days of food. And that's, again, in general, if you can survive the first 90 days of an SHTF, then you will most likely make it. All right, Dex, let's get Vincent on. Again, that's marfuglenews.com/prep. Vincent.
Hello, Marv.
Hey, you're live on marfuglenews.com.
Hey, man, big fan.
So, what you wanted to talk about the Guidestones? What happened? What happened there, and what's up?
Oh, I just wanted to know if you noticed the timeline of on that video when it blew up was 4:03:33. Did you catch that?
Oh no, I did not. So look, I'm gonna go back to this. So is there a numerical value there that I should be noticing?
Yeah, I mean, if anyone is familiar with gematria and like Freemasonic order, 33 is their number one go-to number. You know.
And then what about the 4 and 4333 303?
The 4, I'm not sure. The reason why I bring that up is because I just want to know, like, is this event, was this some random, fad out there, or was this on purpose?
So in my gut, I don't think it was random. I think that this is something bigger, but that's just my gut. My intuition says something is going on.
All right.
I mean, you had CERN fire up yesterday, and then this happens. Go ahead.
No, yeah, I have the same exact feeling. Did you know today's George Bush's birthday as well?
No. So they blew up the Guidestones, the George Guidestones on George Bush's birthday.
On his birthday.
Well,
so it fell on July 6th or 7/6, which is 13, which is another funny number that people like to throw around. And obviously this happened a day after CERN.
What about today's date, 7/6/2022?
Well, 7 plus 6 is 13, right?
There you go again. Dex, did you need to chime in?
So
yeah,
George Bush was also yep.
Sorry, Vincent. Made a comment, and I just confirmed the date on this. That if the event was 4:03:33 a.m., the crucifixion of Christ was on 4:03:33 AD.
What?
Oh wow.
What? So wait a second. Can you say that again, Dex? It chopped out.
Take the time 4:03 and 33 seconds, or 4:03:33. The date that is most referenced as the date that he was crucified was April 3rd, 33 AD, which would be 4:03:33.
And this was an explosion that probably had a timer.
When he was 33 years old.
They could have done this right at exact moment. So for those that are like, oh, you're just seeing into things, why would they blow it up at an exact time like that? Or why would they even blow it up at 4:03 or I guess they chose 4 a.m. because it was in the middle of the night, but they had a choice of when to press the button, unless they just put a generic timer and it just happened to hit 4:03:33. I mean, it was kind of an exact time. I mean, it is a little odd, and it's a Mason.
Yeah, it's funny. To go back to George Bush, he was a member of Skull and Bones. Obviously, their number is 322, and the Guidestones were actually unveiled on 3/22/1980.
Oh, that's right, March 22nd, 1980. And it was built by a Mason group.
Yeah, there's a lot of other trippy stats to that too. Like it's about 7 miles away from I-77, so that's 777. That's a book by Aleister Crowley. So yeah, this makes me think that this could symbolize some kind of destruction of the current, in the birth of the new being good or bad. I guess that's for you to kind of decide. But
it's a message.
Yeah.
Or it's a sign of something.
It's got
that is a trip.
Yeah, it's got to be. I think people should look into it a little bit.
This is like the one time where I do really think that a lot of things play into it. For those that are like, oh, so what? It's 7 miles from it. You have to realize this actual monument had things. It was placed in such a way just like, ancient buildings where you could line up the sun, you could line up things with the it was done very purposeful in an exact way, so you could line up different astrological features. So they would have thought of all these things beforehand, and they did.
Yeah, I'm not exactly 100% sure on this, but I think as straight as the crow flies, it's also 666 miles away from the UN headquarters in New York.
That is just a trip. And now they're saying that it was. I just wonder if we're going to find out who did it. What do you think of the comment that somebody said that somebody has Logic Before Authority has a supposed video of it getting struck by lightning? Would that even trip you out even further if you found out that it was lightning that did it?
Yeah, well, because I don't know. It looked like in the video, it looked like something shot through it. So I feel like lightning would come from more of a top angle when this looked like it came from sort of like a horizontal angle. It's weird.
Yeah, who knows? Watch we get another angle that shows Homelander punching it. Either way, the whole thing is just absolutely insane. I actually didn't realize that the March 22nd, the 322. I didn't realize it. I didn't even catch that either. We just read it on the wiki 322, and that is what people don't understand is that these groups and the skulls and the bones group. That's real. That's real stuff. They have symbology. The societies, they have actual symbolism that they pass down verbally. I mean, do people not think of that?
Look at a top view of DC and you can see it.
Oh well, and the Pentagon and everything else. Yeah, no, it's a trip.
Yeah, I mean they're Masons for a reason. They're pretty precise on what they do, right?
Well, that and when you get it, so. I knew somebody that was in the lower levels, and they just were like in the very first levels, and then they basically got, I think they got either removed or they couldn't chop it, and they were very young when they got into it, and at the lower levels, they don't know anything.
Brad at that level,
but they don't know anything. People don't, even the people that are in it don't know about the evil stuff after the 32nd degree, right? And they may have heard the rumors, but they're not
pretty much.
They're not, and they do everything verbally. They pass down these verbal things, and as they go up the levels, they give them these crazy things. Like you have to memorize multi-page things, and then do that as part of your thing, and then they make all of it private. There's documentaries about this where they can't go into the room while they do it. They've opened up a lot more, and now they've opened up to different races, and I believe they even let women in now. But and they have different branches and things, and they make it like it's nothing. But when you get up to the very top in those certain groups, and I'm sure it's it's all over the world, these groups actually do hold value in all of these weird symbols. And that friend thought, oh, there's nothing crazy about it, and he really believed that. He's like, no, it's just like a social group. It's just like this, and I'm like, no, you have to realize. And I heard and this is again, rumor. All of them are rumors. At the 33rd degree, you have to basically, what do you call it? You have to vow to not believe in God or something. You have to denounce or something. I don't even want to say it. Denounce Jesus at the 33rd. But again, there's just all sorts of rumors and crazy theories around them. And then for this thing to be destroyed like this is just weird.
Holy.
Well, thank you for calling, Vincent, and great observations. It's your first time call. Don't make it your last, okay?
Definitely. I just wanted to do a quick shout out to the buddy that called before me on his theory. I just want to, if he's still listening or anyone that was interested in that, I think he was kind of following or thinking on the same terms of, a couple of giants before him that would look into Walter Russell, Ken Wheeler, and Santos Bonacci. And I think he'll you'll enjoy those three teachers.
And can you repeat that first name? It cut out for a second.
It's Walter Russell. He's from back in around the 20s. Ken Wheeler, which is on YouTube now. Can't pronounce the name of his channel because it's a weird one. And Santos Bonacci. Those guys are kind of on the forefront of wave theory and the holographic universe.
So again, there's actual theories out there, and people didn't get that, but I bet there's some well-spoken explanations of what he believed. Well, thank you, Vincent, and it's always a pleasure. Thank you again, calling from Hawaii. Mahalo. You have a wonderful night. That was Vincent from Hawaii, and very, very keen observations there about this whole thing. Be not a cancer of the earth. Leave room for nature. Leave room for nature. What a creepy, creepy day. And the significance, and I did not notice that. I'm surprised he even saw that. It actually went boom, boom at exactly 4033. Boom. All right. Dex, let's see. Let's go over and talk about the web content. And then also I do want to say thank you to several folks that have just popped in. Thank you, everybody that supported today, including Travis Kitts, Kuat DSNY, and I'll never say that right. And, of course, thank you, Zenwen for massive support tonight. TA says, this was a supersonic message from Vladia. Oh, yeah, what if that was a supersonic, super small supersonic missile, right? The question is actually how explosive it takes to level rock where they get it. Where did they get it? B-Real Beast, yeah. So what kind of explosive would actually be able to take out a slab like that and turn it into dust? And then Ghost Hunter, thank you. Alex Gallegos, Ghost Hunter, thank you for the thumbs up. I appreciate that. Christina Cromley, thank you as well. Alex Gallegos says, Justin is partly right, but the projection is caused by electrons, which can be matter or energy. But this brings up the electric universe theory. So again, there's crazy theories out there that would probably explain what he was talking about. I don't know. I just think if you're just chopping it up to, oh, somebody's on acid or something, I don't think that's very open-minded. At least hear out the theories. Chia Lisa, thank you for all that you do. Urban Prepper 34, Donovan Wirt, everybody, thank you. Dex, let's go over the web only. We have a bunch of crazy stuff down there.
Absolutely. Head over to marfooglenews.com and click on that thumbnail for the show, or open the description on YouTube and just click on the show notes, that link right there. It's so easy to get to. And when you scroll down, you'll get through all the news we've covered. You're going to get to this yellow bar that says overflow. This is where the rest of the story is. This is where you'll find everything, including that video is there from the CCTV footage. So if you guys want to scroll through that frame by frame and look at it, you can. Lots of other things going on. We've got updates here regarding what happened over the holiday, that big event that we can't talk about, but I know is being absolutely covered all over mainstream. So you got to know what's going on there already, but there's plenty of other stuff. So we've got some things happening in the political spectrum. Apparently Dumbo has made a return. He's been reincarnated as a goat. So if you want to know more about that, that's kind of a strange one. Go take a look. And some interesting provocative photos coming out from politicians. I just going to leave it at that. For those of you that love bunnies, probably a sad story there as well. And then plenty of other updates around some of the more edgy topics that we can't always cover, including a spike in a 50% spike in autism in 2020. So that stat, along with the research and information on that, is all available there on marfooglenews.com. So again, click on the thumbnail for today's show. You'll get to this. Just scroll down. All of the caller information is already on there. If you refresh, you would see it. And then if you're on YouTube, just open that description and click on show notes. It'll take you right here. You can get the bibliography and everything else we put together for you.
So the nearly 3.5% of American children have autism, a 50% jump. So my son is a little bit too young to absolutely confirm it, but it's like we believe he's on the spectrum because of certain milestones and things going backwards and things like that, and it's been really hard. I hope if there's something up there that people go to jail. I hope people go to prison and never get let out if there's something, a reason behind that. There was an event, and it wasn't regarding anything, an event that happened, which was supposed to be a normal event that all kids go through, that it was like we could basically track it back to that everything kind of started changing and going backwards, even from saying mama and dada and bottle and everything else to going backwards. So it could be normal because, again, boys are behind, and sometimes when they learn to walk, they end up, all their brain power goes towards learning something. But again, if it's what I think it is, I hope certain people go to jail and never get let out if they know what they're possibly doing. So again, make sure to go read the website. There's lots of great stuff. Thank you, everybody that supports the show. Thank you, everybody that helps. Make sure to thank your mods. There's amazing people down there. Again, thank you, and thank you, everybody that has popped in tonight. Thank you to all the new people that joined us. Thank you, Karen W., for your support over on PayPal this last month. Karen W., Joanna H., Stormy J., Dawn B., LJP, Carrie Mack, or Carrie MC, and then Smack and Art Studio, Dixie Doe, Christy T., Sherry R., and, of course, Caleb L., and 3 City Cats. Thank you, guys. Much love. Thank you, Dex, for your service today, and I appreciate you.
Much love. Great job, brother.
Thank you, mods, and thank you for keeping it peaceful down there, and much love to everybody. Special shout-out to, of course, Jay Stone, Lisa R. Hall, and Rip Curl down there, and everybody else that's popped in, Bones, wherever you are, and thank you so much. Have a great night. Be safe. Be prepared. And Marf out. It's now time for the shoutro. It's not an outro. It's not a shout-out. It's a shoutro. As I said, special thank you to everybody. Zen1AZ, TA, Be Real Beast, Alex Galagos, Ghost Hunter 2021, and everybody else in chat. Farmer Red, Mama of 6, Patrick Carlson, Chauncey Gardner, Stealth Mode, Old American Girl, Survival Game, Jstone78, Belinda Golks, Oki Khan, Lisa R. Hall, The Major, Zen1AZ, Renegade Petey, WIS Jen, Angela 1609. Everyone wants the key. Got it urban pepper, Donovan, working now. I'm Montana, Travis on the kids. Everybody wanna get gamma like a nuclear. New year, long year, just like a gold Dumbo on the hummingbird. 027 now, Mary, let him in. Let Catman in a loud ground. Bring it on down, and they gotta say down. La, la. Gotta watch with Paul and the Luke, Z, Paul, Chloe, Price, and the Bobby Chuck, Hey, Bible Talk, you know, it may have been an accident, just so you know. And if you get muted, don't be offended. You can always send me a DM on Twitter. We also may have some sort of technical issue as well. Michael Jordan and Jay, eat on the wiki world. Everybody go back on YouTube. Out there now in the night river. Everybody one and what's the weather? All right, well, are you ready? Yeah. Yeah, so Bible Talk, don't worry about it. We'll take care of you. Reggie Roman, Doomsday, and a simulation. Unneeded old days, and the Lord Andrew, shake it back and forth. Oh, Mary Matt can read. Oh, nah. Mama of 6, Nan's level 15. Back in the back around, everybody hitting. Oh, nah. Heep, 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 heep. Lips in a lottery, smoking dog lie and a rich view now. Rooting on back with a major Mickey. We got footage on the MP, rolling by the heaven by the way, send it to now. Marfoogle.com/ play my video or stash. Walk swift coat in a won't back now. Won't stealth mode, everybody going back now. Susie on the queue and a major Bob White now. Oh, now. All right, let's do a new one. Because I got... No, I'm just kidding. Well, thank you, Nuke Gal. I appreciate that.